Hi, this is Dr. Bernstein again with session 16 of Dr. Bernstein's Diabetes University. We're going to introduce in this series common myths from time to time, and today we're going to talk about the myth of what the ideal blood sugar should be. It seems that most endocrinologists are telling patients that their blood sugars should be around 100, although many, in my experience, are telling patients to have much higher blood sugars, as high as 200. Now, why this variation, and what's an ideal blood sugar? Well, first of all, it depends on whether you're a child or an adult. Most non-diabetic children are walking around with blood sugars in the 70s and even in the upper 60s without feeling hypoglycemic. That apparently is normal because that's what the siblings of my diabetic patients seem to have. So little kids, 70s, rarely upper 60s. I might also point out that pregnant women after the first trimester usually run around 65 or so. So pregnant women run lower than non-pregnant adults. Now, I've been using as a guideline a blood sugar of 83. I didn't always use this. Back 40 years ago, everybody thought that 100 was a normal number. No studies were done. It was not easy to get blood sugars. I had the first personal blood sugar meter, so I was the first person to be doing blood sugars all day long, and I was diabetic. Prior to that, to get a blood sugar, you had to get a venipuncture and wait several hours while they were doing it, so it was not that popular a determination to study. So we thought that normal was around 100. It wasn't until I was in medical practice and I was located on a major thoroughfare and would get visits from meter salesmen, people selling blood sugar meters, and they would want to demonstrate the meter. And when I used my meter, which I knew was accurate, to compare with their meter, they all had blood sugars of 83. It was like the Buddy Hackett recording called The Chinese Waiter, where all of the patrons were 17. Here, all of the salesmen were 83. And it seemed to me like a normal blood sugar was 83. We did once have a salesman who had a blood sugar of 66, and he said he always was low. So I was sort of impressed by how this number kept reappearing, and eventually moved my target number down from 100 to 83. But I also started seeing studies published in the scientific literature of the mortality in the general population, not looking at diabetics, mortality versus blood sugar. And the studies that were done showed that 83 looked like it had the lowest mortality, that people who had blood sugars of fasting, in this case it was fasting blood sugars, or sometimes it was hemoglobin A1Cs, and when we translated them to blood sugar we got 83. People who had 83 had the greatest longevity. Those who had lower than 83 had greater mortality. Those who had higher than 83 had much greater mortality. So the mortality in the general population seems to be optimal at 83. So why should diabetics be looking at 100?